I step into the diner, the fluorescent lights buzzing above, the smell of fried grease and oversalted soup filling my nostrils. My stomach knots, tight and uneasy, anticipation curling into nerves I can't shake. Every step echoes across the worn floorboards as I move past laughing customers and the clatter of silverware. Across the room, Diane sits at a polished corner table, perfectly composed, her lips curved in that mocking smirk I know too well. She leans toward her friends, whispering, eyes darting toward me as if I'm nothing more than an entertainment piece for her amusement. My pulse spikes, each beat pounding like a warning drum inside my chest. The server sets my lasagna in front of me. Steam rises in delicate curls, the smell rich and familiar, my pride in a dish. Before I can even lift my fork, one of Diane's friends leans back and sneers, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "Is this supposed to be food?" A chorus of chuckles follows, sharp and piercing, echoing off the walls, reverberating in my skull. My cheeks flush crimson, heat radiating down my neck. I open my mouth to defend it, to explain the layers of care baked into every bite, but the words catch in my throat, swallowed by mockery and the cruel amusement of strangers. Then it happens. A waiter trips, spilling a drink across the table. My napkin drenched, my anger flares, but the laughter around me drowns it out. Every eye in the room is either mocking me or too distracted to notice my indignation. I sit frozen, humiliation settling deep into my bones. I try again, my voice sharper this time to assert the care in my cooking, but the words tumble weakly. I stumble over them, fragile and meaningless against the waves of ridicule. Diane clicks her phone, snapping a picture, and seconds later, a snide post appears on social media, tagging my small cafe. The digital sting cuts sharper than any voice in the diner. Even strangers whisper as I pass, eyes flicking with judgment, amusement, and dismissal. The weight of every glance presses down, suffocating. I leave the diner, pride battered, tasting bitter defeat in the crisp night air. Later, alone in my apartment, I scroll through my phone. Memes, sarcastic comments, viral jokes about my cooking, each one a fresh blade slicing into the humiliation I've endured. The laughter of faceless strangers echoes in my ears, relentless and sharp. My phone rings. It's my aunt, her voice shaky, almost apologetic, layered with worry she doesn't fully voice. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen," she says, though the words are more a reflection of fear than apology. Her concern ignites a protective surge inside me, a flicker of fire in the cold despair of the evening. I glance around my kitchen, eyes falling on my dusty culinary awards, each plaque and ribbon a silent testament ignored by the world. The scorn of the public weighs heavily, pressing against my chest. And yet, within that pressure, determination rises like a spark in dry tinder. I will not let them define me. I will prove them wrong. Memories flicker. Childhood neighbors laughing as my aunt stirred pots of sauce, calling her dreams foolish, mocking our small beginnings. The pattern repeats itself now, years later, but the sting fuels something deeper, something relentless. I stand in the empty kitchen, fingertips brushing over utensils, each one a weapon of patience and skill. I close my eyes and imagine the reversal, humiliation transformed into triumph. The kitchen smells of hope, anticipation, and quiet revenge. The fire is lit, and this time I will make sure it consumes everything that doubted us. I remember my aunt's first diner like it was yesterday, a tiny corner shop with peeling paint, a creaky sign swaying in the wind, but inside, a heart brimming with flavors that could stop time. The air was thick with the scent of fresh bread, garlic, and simmering tomato sauce. Every corner held a memory of sweat, love, and relentless dedication. Tahini. She taught me how to knead dough with patience, how to taste every dish with intention, how to never compromise no matter how tired or ignored we felt. "Perfection isn't loud," she'd whisper. "It speaks quietly, but it lasts." Those hands, dusted with flour, shaped not just food, but the foundation of resilience in me. Then Diane entered our lives. She opened her flashy chain restaurant and sneered at our humble beginnings. I can still see her perfectly manicured hand, pointing, laughing as she waved her friends over to watch our corner shop like a sideshow. Her comments weren't just words. They cut deeper than knives, slicing into pride and confidence we were only just learning to protect. Flashbacks flood my mind. Local food fairs where Diane laughed at our modest booth, her words mocking, deliberate, aimed to belittle. "Is that all you've got?" she would say, and the sting lingered far longer than her laughter. My parents told me to keep my head down, to endure in silence, but my aunt refused. She stood tall, a quiet defiance in the face of ridicule, a stubborn light that refused to dim. And I recall the sleepless nights cleaning the diner with her, mopping floors while the city slept, her laughter rising above the ache of exhaustion, shielding us from judgment, from shame. Those nights, though tiring, were lessons in perseverance. My first culinary award arrived with fanfare, but it felt hollow. Diane's sneers always overshadowed every recognition, every achievement. Public validation was a fleeting mirage. Her presence turned our victories into whispers drowned in mockery. Betrayal cut deep when a trusted chef left, lured by Diane's promises, leaving my aunt alone to manage chaos and expectation. The sting of disloyalty seared, but my aunt's determination never wavered. Late-night recipe experiments come back in sharp, vivid flashes, tasting sauces, adjusting spices, tasting again. Each small act of rebellion, each careful tweak, was a refusal to let Diane's scorn define us. Each perfected dish a quiet, private triumph. I discover old letters tucked under dusty drawers, letters from loyal customers who had tasted our love in every bite, who saw the difference between passion and pretense. Their words are a lifeline, a reminder that value isn't always loud, sometimes it's whispered and enduring. The weight of generational pride presses against me. This isn't just my fight, it's her legacy. It's every struggle she endured, every night she stayed awake when the world doubted her. My aunt's quiet resilience becomes my beacon. Revenge isn't just about anger, it's about restoring dignity, reclaiming what was stolen, proving the world wrong with undeniable truth. I vow to channel every memory of humiliation into strategy, every slight into preparation. Every past injury becomes a stepping stone. I start keeping a journal, meticulously mapping each slur, each glance, each betrayal, every injustice recorded, every memory sharpened. This is no longer mere retaliation. It is a blueprint for justice, for triumph, for reclamation. Diane opened a new branch directly across from our diner, a polished storefront glaring at us like a challenge thrown in broad daylight. I felt the weight of provocation press down, every footstep she made across the street a deliberate poke at our pride. Customers began slipping away, drawn by flashy advertisements, trendy interiors, and the illusion of sophistication. Each empty chair in our diner felt like a punch, a reminder that charm and glitz often outweigh substance in the world's eyes. Social media attacks intensified. Viral videos of our kitchen, each clip edited to highlight mistakes, spread like wildfire. Every frame twisted our dedication into folly, turning hard work into public spectacle. I confronted Diane briefly, standing in her lobby, chest tight with frustration, voice sharp with restrained fury. She smiled, a condescending, practiced smile, and waved me off with casual dismissal. "Oh, come on," she said lightly. "Don't take it so seriously." Her calm arrogance cut deeper than any insult. Then, an anonymous tip arrived, a hint of health code violations at Diane's chain. Curiosity burned in me, mingled with a spark of opportunity. I felt a shift in momentum, the first real leverage I had seen in months. I began secretly filming, capturing our kitchen's meticulous order, Diane's subtle corners of neglect, the cracks in her polished facade. Patterns emerged, small but undeniable. Local food bloggers started comparisons. The tables were tilted, the reviews loud, and yet my aunt's recipes, superior in taste, often went unnoticed beneath Diane's marketing glare. The injustice stung, but also sharpened my focus. A rival supplier approached, offering deals to tempt us away from loyalty. I refused, every refusal a quiet act of defiance, a reinforcement of the values my aunt instilled. Tension escalated when Diane invited a famous critic, flaunting the opportunity, deliberately ignoring our presence. I watched her strategy unfold, the calculated slight burning against my chest, each move a reminder of how high the stakes had become. So, I observed the community's loyalties shifting, the sting of lost trust cutting sharper with every passing day. Nights became restless. I plotted not just to reclaim customers, but to restore reputation, to make right what had been skewed by arrogance and deception. Former employees reached out, whispers of Diane's shortcuts and unethical practices spilling like secrets I had long suspected. Their confessions were fuel, adding fire to a plan that had begun quietly in my mind. An old family friend warned me that revenge could backfire, that the stakes were higher than I realized, but each caution only hardened my resolve. I knew the careful path forward was worth every risk. I started small, subtly promoting our hidden gems online, crafting posts that hinted at the authenticity, the passion, the love in every dish. Curiosity took root in the community, small sparks of attention flickering. The rivalry transformed into a quiet war. Each action was calculated, each word measured. The battlefield was subtle. Social perception, hidden truths, the fine balance between exposure and patience. I felt the tension, felt it sharpen every thought, every move, knowing that each step brought me closer to the reckoning we had long awaited. The phone rang late at night, piercing the silence of our apartment. I answered cautiously, heart hammering, and on the other end, a whisper of opportunity. A whistleblower from Diane's corporate kitchen spoke in hushed urgency, offering proof of violations, documents, and recordings that could shake her empire to its core. I listened, stunned as they detailed illegal ingredient substitutions, mislabeling, and shortcuts that betrayed every claim of quality Diane boasted. Shock mixed with a surge of excitement. For the first time in months, I felt the tide turning. The humiliation that had weighed me down now felt like a shadow I could finally cast off. My aunt's voice broke through my thoughts, calm yet firm. "Strike when it counts, not when it hurts," she said, placing her hand on my shoulder. Her patience was a weapon, her wisdom a guide. I nodded, absorbing the weight of her experience, knowing that timing would be everything. I reached out to a lawyer, discreetly consulting someone who specialized in food industry law. The conversation was technical, precise, but it revealed the leverage we now held. Diane's arrogance, her disregard for regulations, was a sword we could wield. A local journalist caught wind of the whispers, curiosity sharp in their tone. They offered to cover the story, but only if we could provide proof. The journalistic pressure added a pulse of urgency to the plan, reminding me that exposure would amplify the impact of every hidden truth. Empowerment surged through me. Humiliation wasn't permanent, it was reversible. Justice was tangible, reachable, and within our grasp. I felt my pulse sharpen, senses heightening, as strategy and emotion intertwined. Late-night sessions in the kitchen became battlegrounds of preparation. We plotted the reveal, refining every signature dish, every presentation, every subtle message we would send to the public. Precision and care became as critical as anger and resolve. A secret tasting event was arranged, critics invited under the guise of curiosity. Every plate was intentional, every flavor a statement. The contrast between Diane's shortcuts and our authenticity would speak for itself. I began noticing Diane's mistakes more clearly. Her arrogance blinded her to scrutiny. She underestimated us, thought us too small, too humble, too slow to fight back. That miscalculation would become her undoing. The revelation fueled meticulous preparation. Emotional intensity and strategic planning blended until every action felt deliberate, almost surgical. Each decision carried weight. Each move edged us closer to vindication. I realized revenge had grown into something larger. This wasn't just retaliation. It was reclaiming our narrative, our pride, our voice. Every insult and slight became a reason to assert our truth. Whispers began circulating in the community. Slowly, they noticed cracks in Diane's image, subtle truths seeping through the polished facade. Doubt crept into her empire, small but undeniable. Confidence rose within me, layered and deliberate. Every calculated step increased tension, anticipation, and the inevitability of the reckoning we had been preparing for. The power was shifting, and I could feel it coursing toward us. The morning sun barely touched the streets when I stepped up to the press conference, evidence clutched in my hands. Cameras flashed, microphones jutted toward me, and I felt a cold calm settle in my chest. My voice was steady, measured, yet charged with the intensity of months of planning and humiliation. "Here is the truth," I said, and every word carried the weight of injustice finally exposed. Critics sampled our updated menu live on stream, their eyes widening with astonishment. Bites turned into murmurs of delight. Forks paused midair in awe. The flavors, perfected through late nights and relentless practice, spoke louder than any words could. Across town, Diane's chain began to crumble under inspection. Health inspectors arrived with clipboards, legal teams scrutinized every corner, and one by one, doors shuttered silently. Her empire, built on shortcuts and deceit, faltered in the light of exposure. Social media erupted. Users flooded timelines with praise for our authentic cooking, contrasting it sharply against Diane's deceptive shortcuts. Every post, every comment, every share was a tiny victory, a public correction of years of ridicule. I confronted Diane privately, standing in the empty hallway of her failing flagship. The smug mask she wore for the public cracked. Her disbelief was palpable, eyes darting, lips trembling with a suppressed fury she could not release. How did you?" she stammered. I simply smiled, calm, letting the moment speak louder than any words. The community began rallying behind us. Patrons returned in droves, lining up outside our diner, applause greeting us as we opened the doors. Their loyalty was a balm to wounds inflicted over years of mockery. Legal settlements finalized quickly after evidence and exposure did their work. Diane's chain was forced into bankruptcy. Silent, unceremonious collapse, a perfect mirror to the empire she had built on arrogance and deceit. Our reputation bloomed. Media outlets called us the culinary comeback story of the year, the small corner diner that had taken down a corporate giant. Recognition finally aligned with our talent, skill, and perseverance. I stood in our bustling kitchen, the scent of fresh bread and simmering sauce filling the air, my aunt beside me. Together, we absorbed the quiet triumph, the full circle of humiliation turned into victory. Poetic justice revealed itself in small ways. Former staff who had betrayed us now humbled, realizing the value of loyalty and integrity. They watched quietly as we flourished, a silent lesson in consequence. That evening, I hosted a celebratory dinner for loyal patrons. Smiles, laughter, genuine praise, and heartfelt thanks surrounded me. Every bite shared, every compliment given, was a testament to endurance and truth. Flashbacks collided with the present. Sneers, laughter, ridicule juxtaposed with applause, admiration, and respect. The emotional satisfaction was profound, layered, and intoxicating. Diane's final attempt to discredit us was public, loud, and futile. The contrast was undeniable. Her words dissolved under the weight of truth, cementing our victory permanently. On how? I recorded a behind-the-scenes reel documenting the transformation from humiliation to dominance. Every frame, every gesture, every satisfied customer told the story we had fought for, a story of resilience, strategy, and ultimate justice. The diner thrives now, a vibrant hub of the neighborhood, blending the warmth of tradition with touches of modern flair. Every corner hums with life, laughter, and the aroma of dishes perfected over years of sweat and patience. It has become a landmark, a symbol of persistence and authenticity. I reflect quietly on the path we took. Strategic patience, ethical action, meticulous planning, they were the forces that transformed humiliation into triumph. Every move, every choice mattered. Diane has vanished from the food scene, whispers of her downfall drifting through the streets like a cautionary tale. Her absence is a quiet echo, a reminder of arrogance undone. Customers share stories constantly, eyes wide with amazement as they recount tasting our dishes for the first time. Their wonder, genuine and unforced, fills me with a satisfaction that no accolades could match. I mentor young chefs now, teaching them resilience, integrity, and the importance of authenticity. I turn trauma into guidance, each lesson a shield against the petty cruelties the world may throw their way. Awards that once gathered dust now adorn our walls proudly, shining as tangible reminders of victory earned honestly and persistently. Legal closure brings peace, but the emotional journey lingers vividly. Every memory of mockery, every sleepless night, every small act of defiance remains etched in my mind. I document each lesson learned: patience, preparation, strategic timing, and the unshakable belief in our own worth. Each entry reinforces the strength cultivated through the struggle. Family and friends gather around the diner, toasting quietly, their laughter blending with the hum of the kitchen. Together, we celebrate the journey from ridicule to acclaim, the arc of triumph complete. On quiet evenings, I linger in the kitchen, the aroma of success mingling with lingering traces of past struggle. Each scent is a reminder of how far we've come, of battles fought and won. I realize now that revenge was never about hate. It was about reclaiming dignity, restoring truth, and affirming value long denied. Gratitude replaces resentment. Joy fills the spaces that humiliation once occupied, leaving room for growth, for love, for future victories. Our story becomes part of local lore, whispered in cafes and at dinner tables, a tale of resilience, quiet defiance, and the power of standing tall when underestimated. It inspires others silently, a beacon for anyone who has ever been mocked or overlooked. I face the camera, the kitchen alive behind me, the clatter of pans, the hum of conversation, the scent of simmering sauces filling the air. My voice is calm, reflective, carrying the weight of every humiliation endured, every betrayal faced, and every calculated move that led us here. I've been underestimated, I begin, recounting public ridicule, whispered mockery, and the meticulous planning that turned anger into strategy. Each memory cuts sharp, but it fuels the narrative of triumph. Why? Underestimation is not weakness. It can become the engine of strategic victories when paired with patience and precision. Flashbacks flicker across the screen, sneers at the diner, late-night planning sessions with my aunt, and the final moments of vindication when our dishes silenced critics and rivals alike. I share the lessons learned, the power of patience, the courage to act when it counts, preparation that leaves nothing to chance, and the skill of leveraging hidden opportunities others overlook. The camera captures candid moments of the community, diners laughing, critics nodding in approval, friends and strangers alike celebrating our authenticity. Proof that transformation is real and that perseverance pays. Emotional intelligence becomes the central theme. Revenge, when executed with ethics and precision, is not just satisfying, it is lasting. Every move, every response, every reveal matters. I lean closer to the lens, voice steady. If you've ever been underestimated or mocked, let this story remind you. Your time will come. The conviction in my tone is palpable, a call to action for anyone who has been doubted. I highlight the power of storytelling, how pain becomes legacy, how mistakes become lessons, and how perseverance can turn humiliation into triumph. The camera pans slowly, catching my aunt and me laughing together, the diner thriving around us, the sunset light spilling across polished tables. Every shadow and glow tells a story of endurance and victory. Resilience, dignity, and culinary excellence, I say softly, are the ultimate revenge. Text overlays the frame. Comment your story of overcoming mockery below. Let's inspire each other. The scene fades out as the aroma of fresh lasagna fills the frame, lingering, a final reminder that triumph, once earned, leaves a taste that lasts.